last year and the year before, and we're back again with all of you streaming on COVID Sports TV and social pages like LinkedIn and Facebook and X and Twitter and VirginiaPreps.com, and for all you out there on IG as I look at two different camera lenses. I am Matthew Hatfield, publisher for now of VirginiaPreps.com with Rivals and On 3. And the 2025 season is underway. And as I give you each and every Friday night, 5 takeaways from what happens, we interact with you, do it on our stream, do it on our comments. We'll wave at you. We'll take your questions, your comments, what you saw of the Virginia high school football teams and players, whatever area code. Doesn't matter if it's 757, 804, 803, 703. There's no 803, I don't think, in Virginia. You get the point. 540, we're here to cover with you. And I've got 5 takeaways. If I had my graphics department on top of it, I would do it on the screen for all of you. But you can go to X or Twitter, and I'll pull it up on my little trusty touchpad I got here as I give them to you. I'm going to count them down backwards, though, from 5 to 1. As we just watched Georgia Tech, the Ramblin' Wreck, with Haynes Camp quarterback, beat my favorite coach in the world, prime time, Deion Sanders. Adios, Deion. You're 0-1 to start the season. I love that. Despite 3 turnovers from Haynes and the boys, the Yellow Jackets, in a span of 8 minutes. So I had to wait till that game was over before I went live with all of you out there. I watched a lot of these games on the high school front the last 2 nights on NFHS and streaming, a couple on YouTube and different Huddle for one of them, in fact, as well. Even had the Maury clip on Huddle. I mean, also on NFHS, so their game with Cardinal Gibbons. So people ask me, what game you going to? What game you going to? What game you going to? Well, I can watch 7 or 8 games just sitting in my house. I won't do that every week. And I actually have some people that are kind enough to get me set up on the Huddle to watch games that I'm not at too. So that's how I try to cover the entire state. And a big salute to my wonderful team of people, because it's not a one-man effort on VirginiaPreps.com. I think we're the only site in America that's given you probably 200 previews in the last month. So shout out to Will Garlick and Danny Lewis and Robert Anderson and Jim McGrath and Rodney Young and all the people that write for us. I'm going to leave some folks out, but you know them and they do a great job. Let's go to the takeaways, and we'll start with number 5 here. And it's the first one because people are up in arms. Oh, my gosh, the 757 and all the teams in VA that are defending state champions here, with the exception of Essex, I believe, which won its game 1 pretty convincingly, although they gave up like 20, 30 points. So they weren't lights out on defense against Sussex. They did win the game. But Class 2 champ, Graham, they get doubled up by Bluefield of West Virginia, 20-10 after shutting them out last year, 10 donut. You have Maury in Class 5 riding the 30-game winning streak. They got some games on the horizon with Varina next week. Big one in the 804. Bishop McNamara in their home opener to follow. Could Doree McCain's team be staring at an unusual, unprecedented 0-3, 0-2 start? Well, we'll see. Lost this game 24-20. It was a back-and-forth seesaw affair. And then you had Oscar Smith. The Oscar Frommel Smith Tigers, with their tradition and their history, winning state championships going back to 2008 when they won the first one, dominating Osborne in the snow at Virginia Tech with Philip Sims at the cue, throwing it to Tim Smith in the gang. They won a championship 2 of them in the same calendar year after COVID. They won one last year in dramatic fashion over the Madison Warhawks. They got talent galore with Travis Johnson going to Michigan, and with Jaden Koval headed to Virginia, and Lonnie Andrews III, a junior quarterback with poise and a lot of offers. Well, Oscar Smith in these big games, they've not been up to snuff when it comes to out-of-state games. They're now just 2-8 overall. Only 2 wins over Venice in 2009 and West Forsyth in 2018 as they take it on the chin, 17-0 against Gonzaga out of D.C. Now, Gonzaga is not your ordinary school, folks. They bring in studs at Gonzaga. They were 7-4 last year, but number 4 in the Washington Post. And they've produced Caleb Williams, who's now in the NFL with the Chicago Bears playing quarterback. Olu Fashanu, offensive lineman, first-round pick. They're loaded with guys. Carter Meadows, 5-star edge guy who's going to Michigan, like Johnson. And by the way, he was breathing down Andrews' neck within seconds of that game starting. Among many others. They're huge on the line. They're guys that go 6'6", 240, 6'6", 273. They're big up front. So you have these losses, and then you could see one with Liberty Christian on Saturday night in the USA Kickoff Classic in Ohio against Ironton, a defending state champ. Now, they're riding a long winning streak, but they could take that L coming up on Saturday night. That would mean 4 defending state champs. Thank you, LB, out there watching on the X. 4 of them could be out of the chute. And what do we learn about this? What did we learn? As part of the takeaways, what did we learn? Whether we want to learn things or not. You know, you go to school, you learn things, you don't want to hear it. The teacher get on your nerves. Some of these kids go back to school. They want to go back to summertime. They're starting school early now. Ugh. I know my niece is just hating it right now. She comes in all grumpy. Just go straight to the cabinet and get a snack and boom. What did we learn? We learned that, and this is a very simplistic thing to say, there's great football played in other states too. And sometimes, as much as we want to puff our chests out and say how great Virginia football is and brag about it and be braggadocious, and we like to do that. We want to talk about how great our teams are, whether we in the 757 or the 804, whatever we are. We want to brag about them. Sometimes we learn that some of these teams from Texas or Ohio or Florida or South Carolina or wherever are just daggone better than the best of the best in Virginia. I know it's a harsh thing and a tough pill to swallow, but daggone it, proof's in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Now, we still have chances here coming up for some Virginia teams to put up or shut up and show, all right, just how good we are. Heritage of Lynchburg, our number 1 team in Class 3. They take on Bridgeport of West Virginia coming up. Ooh, that could be tough. Highland Springs, and we'll get to in a moment. They have Huff out of North Carolina. Veronica's got Grimsley out of North Carolina. Coming up on Saturday, Warwick from the 757. All right, Mallard Creek's coming up from NC. Show them what you all about now, Warwick. We have chances among other teams in different pockets of Virginia. Nova, Southwest. But you know what? You see why people don't always say Virginia has the best football. What do you mean? You're the guy with Virginia. Why are you knocking Virginia? Not knocking. I'm just telling you like it is. I don't know why some people are up in arms thinking, oh my gosh, Graham's a fraud. Oscar Smith's no good. Maury's done. Relax. It's one game. It's a 15-game marathon. It's not a sprint. But what we learned is some of these states and some of these programs, they are year-round machines. Factories are the words that come to mind. Great point if you're watching on the X or the YouTube or the LinkedIn or the Facebook from my man Lamar Barrett out there. Difference in those states is you have 2 seasons. Football season and spring football season. Bingo. A lot of athletes are playing b-ball, baseball, whatever it might be. Spring, whatever, you know. And some of these smaller schools now, Class 3, 2, 1, you got to share athletes now. You got wrestling coming up. You got this coming. All right, so let's get off that for now. Let's go to my other number 4 on the Hats Hits takeaways as we took them backwards here for you. That was number 5, even though some looked at it as number 1 here. Number 4, Battlefield Bobcats. This was probably the co-best game of the night that I watched on Thursday with the finish between Cox and Lansdowne, which was a game-winning field goal by my man Bryson Wilhelm, the kicker for the Falcons at the gun, 21-21 at the gun. It was like 5 seconds left. But Battlefield's down 13-0 to North Stafford, who's got some guys. Chase Sullivan at quarterback, Kanaa Sullivan, the defensive back, really, really good. And it looks like North Stafford's going to get a really good road win. And I tell you what, I'm going to shout out my guys at Nansemond River. They told me at Lansdowne team game, they said, North Stafford better be high in your top 10 in Class 6. And they were right. They're really good. And they probably felt like they got jobbed in this game because that pass interference call in the end zone was a little shaky, maybe a little home looking. But you know what? I got to take my hat off. Ooh, my hair's a mess. Don't do that. I got to tip my cap to my cousin, Greg Hatfield. We're not related, but he is for now. The head coach of the Bobcats of Battlefield. Why? Because they've heard all summer, all offseason, with 4 Division I recruits on their roster, by the way, and his son, Luke Hatfield, lineman going to UConn, and Keaton Ramey, wide receiver, headed to Stony Brook, and defensive back Brendan Murray going to Rutgers, and the quarterback, who was the hero at the end, in Callum O'Shea, committed to Richmond. They heard about, you're a regular season team. You can't get it done in the playoffs. Well, you know what? You got to be good in the regular season to get to the playoffs and have a chance to be good and prove yourself in the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, that's right. And they got it to 13-7. They took advantage of a break, and that's what it is in life. Sometimes you got to make the most of your breaks. I could sure use a couple breaks right now. 13-7, and they get the PI to get one more play. Keaton Ramey steps up from O'Shea, touchdown. They're tied. We're tied. I could say we're Hatfield, right? Hatfield's Bobcats are tied, and then the PAT is good. And Battlefield wins at 14-13. Could be a crushing loss for North Stafford, but you know what? If you're out there, Wolverines, learn from this about finishing and closing the door because you're really close and you got a good team. And you're going to be heard from before this year's over, no doubt about it. But this region, what it told me was, I've heard from people in the 757 and the 804 how great Region 4B is, and I've said it. You got Huguenot, Dinwiddie, Verona, wasn't a great night for Huguenot, who got beat by St. Chris. And props to Darius Gray, the South Carolina commit. He got in the end zone as a lineman. I love it when linemen score, and that guy's a beast. Two-sport beast, by the way, hoops and football. But that region, 4B, with Huguenot and Dinwiddie and Verona, and now Louisa with the 5-star running back commit and Savion Hyder going to Michigan, and the 4-star wide receiver defensive back going to Rutgers and Dazier Carter. Great region. 5B, you got Maury and Kings Fork and Warwick and Nansman River with an ACC committed quarterback. Warwick's got a really good defense. Kings Fork stacked with talent. Virginia Tech committing Josh Pittman, and Maury had won 30 in a row until tonight. But 6B is deep. It's so deep that when you look at the field of teams in that region, which has 19 schools, only 8 go to the playoffs. You're looking at Battlefield, who's won now 44 straight regular season games. You have Independence coming up. And by the way, they have college players on their roster too, and they now have a Hall of Famer calling the shots on offense in Mickey Thompson, former Stonebridge coach. Patriots, no slouch. Got a linebacker going to Penn State. Lost a close one to Westfield, but they're no slouch. The Stafford schools are getting better. Stafford, North Stafford, hello. Garfield's quarterback's electric. Forest Park, they got in a game that was like 100 points on the board with them in Centerville. That was part of the fun buckle your seatbelt game on my list of games here with the John Champ game with them in Dunbar. It was 58-40. And a couple other games that were just head spinning. Lebanon and Honaker out there in Class 1 and Class 2 out there in Southwest Virginia. There were some great games out there. High scoring. But that region is super deep. And it's quality, it's competitive, and it's got depth. Best region in the state. So I know I'm going to make some people upset, but hey. Hey, just joining is my man, Lord Haru QB1. I got to give you a quick shout out because that's Malik Haru of Indian River, who is a freshman. I was talking about this with my guy Super E on the X or the Twitter. One of the best in the state. I think he was 16 of 17 tonight in their win over Granby. I'm going to see you, Malik, soon when your Braves take on either the Tigers or Kings Fork or somebody. I got you on the slate. Keep balling out. And I see Coach Chapman popping on there. Thanks for tuning in. Charles Elkins jumping on the Facebook. 4B is a war zone on any Friday night. Come on back to the jungle, Matt. Charles, I want to come to the jungle. I just saw Louisa went up there for a scrimmage with Prince George, and they took apart Prince George in the scrimmage, although it's a scrimmage. I was telling this to Coach Patrick, I love going to the jungle because I went up there for a state semifinal playoff game years back with Lafayette, and they treated me so well. They fed me and my 2 numbnuts that were my chaperones / bodyguards. You know who they are out there if you're watching LB still. They took care of us. They do it right at the jungle at Louisa. And I told us, I'll say there, one of the best atmospheres, environments for a game. They had the whole lion. I heard they got to look at new Jumbotron, shoot off the fireworks. Great. Dinwiddie's a great atmosphere too, by the way. They do a great job. Louisa, they do it right. We need more schools in a state to follow the blueprint of Louisa and Dinwiddie. They do it right. They treat the media well. Sometimes, the media goes places they want to wand you, bad you, pat you down, everything. Think we're just trying to do our jobs, cover the kids, and that could hurt. All right. Give people some shine. So that covers the second one. Let's get to the other 3 because we're running out of time and I want to finish it by midnight because we're going to be up early to 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV, which you can watch on IG and X and Facebook and all those things. And we love interacting with us. What's our number 3 here? EC Glass out of Lynchburg. Let's give them some shine. Hilltoppers, they were not on my radar as a top 10 team in the state in their division, which is Class 4. I had Salem ranked. They beat Salem tonight. The Spartans of Salem, not the Sun Devils of Virginia Beach, Salem, who got themselves a nice comeback win over Kempsville. Not what we're talking about here right now. But anyways, 27-21 for Glass. And they did it after a 5-6 year last season. They couldn't really score last year offensively. They had trouble moving the ball, sustaining drives, and punching it in the end zone. Had 11 points in an overtime game with Botetourt to start last year. Well, they scored it well, moved the ball well tonight, and they got some tough road games coming with Heritage of Lynchburg and GW Danville. But you know what? Region 4D, I might have misread you guys just a little bit because Salem's good. Jefferson Forest put a whooping on Gretna tonight, and they're my favorite to win, my pick to win Region 4D. I love their defense. Brand new offensive line, but really, really good football team. And Hanley's not bad. Sharando was in the States last year. GW Danville has athletes, and they will recover from the loss out of state, by the way, to Reedsville. Another team that we didn't talk about, the state champs getting beat, but another team went out of state and or played an out-of-state team, didn't do too hot. EC Glass can win a playoff game or two and cause some havoc in 4D. And I didn't really see them doing that. Better than I thought. And that Seminole district, which is one of the more rugged districts in the state, will get them ready. Moving on to my number 2, which is now the 4th one here. We go backwards on the list. Highland Springs. People thought they fell off the map last year by going 9-4. Not a typical Lauren Johnson year, but this guy wins 87 or 85% of his games. He's a heck of a coach. He's one of the best in the state. And it's by no accident. It's not like the guy lost or forgot how to coach football. And tonight, they didn't just beat Hopewell, who I've got picked, as do many, to win Region 3A, which is relatively weak this year. Let's just call it what it is. They beat them 68-12. First time these two schools hooked up on the gridiron in 24 years. The running back, Eric Bird, who was so great as a sophomore, was dinged up as a junior. He's back and healthy now. Hey, Coach CJ tuning in out there from Norfolk State. Behold, the green and gold. He plays some hoops over there at NSU. Not just football with Mr. Vick. But looking at Highland Springs for a second here, we have to take them a little more seriously because I put them number, 4 or 5 in my top 10 in Class 5? I think number 4, which is the lowest I've ever ranked them in a top 10 in years and years and years. And it's because, I like that, it's because you've got Maury and Green Run and Kings Fork and Stonebridge, some really good teams in Class 5. But Highland Springs has got Huff coming up. They don't run from anybody on the schedule. You know what? I've heard sneaky good. They don't have the household names. Lauren Johnson's son, Brennan, is now at Virginia Tech, 3-time state defensive player of the year. They don't have the NFL guys, the Greg Dorches, the Kevon Wallaces. You know what, though? Sometimes those teams can still get it done and win. Super Jim. My Broncos over John Marshall, he says. Love it. Did they really? Well, you got to get them in the gridiron because you wouldn't get them on the hardwood. Although it's now a new school running things in the 804 basketball. It's their time now. The wave of momentum they're riding. Anyways, we're comment on the X. It's watching on the YouTube show. We're also on IG here. So look at multiple cameras doing this. So that covers Highland Springs. You got Bird healthy. Defense, you got playmakers. Offense, you got weapons at receiver. They always do. I like what I'm seeing. So the comeback is the story, the theme of the night. Glass is back. They did, Stonebridge back after an aberration bad year. Highland Springs never left. They're back, looking like maybe an elite team again. And my number 1, which was the 5th one, was going to Stonebridge here. 7-0 shutout of Madison. Great defensive game. My man Will Garlick will have more up on VirginiaPreps.com. He was there in person for it. I watched it online on NFHS. 7-0 game, sounded like it was boring. You're going to yawn your way through it like you might do this video show before you say goodnight. It's almost midnight. Why is he still babbling here? Oh, watch this. Let me tell you something. I put that game on, and Kedrick Golston II, the son of the former Washington defensive lineman, who's the coach of that team, he made some plays. He got a strip sack, gets in the end zone. He's flying everywhere. But even the younger son, Caden, who's a big-time defensive back, sophomore, got a bunch of offers. Comes across on a little sweep play and just knocks a dude backwards for a tackle for loss. Chase Jeter's going to Syracuse, defensive back. They got Langston Pridgeon, who's already a 4 or 5-star defensive back sophomore. Zeke Wimbush is committed to UConn. Stonebridge's defense, folks, is legit. And I know I'm going to make people mad that believe that they have the best defense, whether it's Verina or whether it's Phoebus or whether it's fill-in-the-blank defense, Battlefield. We talked about them earlier. I know Oscar Smith and Maury won't be as vocal now that they've taken a loss here tonight. But I'm here to tell you, Stonebridge has as many dudes or studs on their defense as anybody in Virginia. Now, the offense is still a work in progress, as Madison showed them, and Madison's a really good, hard-nosed football team. Justin Counts does a heck of a job. One of maybe the 5 to 10 best coaches in the state. Always has his teams competing hard and playing to their max. Like how Stonebridge won that type of game. They needed a game that can be a springboard to signal that they are back after last year. And they have some tough games coming up. Out-of-state foes, too. We talked about it. This is a bit of theme, too. Quince Orchard and the Dunbar. They have teams that, have some names and reputations. Go represent VA. Represent your area code in your state, whether you're from Nova or 757 or 804. Go show your worth, your value. So that covers all of the Hats Hits items. And you can always see it on Twitter or X every Friday night around 11:30-ish throughout the regular season of the high school football campaign as we take you in to the playoffs. A couple quick thoughts before we bid adieu here and we hit midnight and the clock will strike. We will do 757 Sports Talk a little earlier than usual before our 10 a.m. shotgun start. It'll probably be around the 9:30, depending on what time Coach Young, now the new basketball coach at Smithfield, decides to get with the program and not be late. I might start with Adam. I might leave him like Cam Chancellor did that with Keandre Lambert, which we joked about on the show when we had Dre on in the summertime, now of the LA Chargers. We will do our NFC over-under picks. We did AFC last week. If you missed it, it's on the show, on the YouTube page on the show. You can also watch our show on TV on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesdays at 12 noon Eastern, and on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll put it up for you on those that are watching on the YouTube stream. You see that 757 Sports Talk, channel 60 in Hampton Roads, channel 74 in Nova, 77 in Fredericksburg, and channel 9 in Roanoke. You'll see a portion of 757 Sports Talk, which usually takes you 2 hours plus or just under it, depending on how much time we feel like we want to give you. We've had some great guests, and we'll have more great guests for you, too. We had David Teal on, Hall of Fame sports writer, last week. I'm sure we'll get more of the coaches and players sound for you, too. We did our special preview football show. We'll talk some college football because that is the hot button topic. Inside VA and beyond it. Old Dominion opens up Indiana. We'll see what the Hokies and Hoos are about. Big years for them. Obviously, NSU took the tough loss in their opener against Towson. Huge games, though. Texas, Ohio State. I'll give you a couple quick picks. I think the Longhorns eke it out close against the Buckeyes. I know that guy, Jeremiah Smith, is a bad man. He is a bad man, folks. I think Arch Manning and company will get it done. This is a real big test for Arch. They lost to the Buckeyes in the playoff. They don't have those backs, including Travion Henderson anymore, that are now in the NFL. I think they'll be a little crisper, a little sharper than the Buckeyes. LSU Clemson, another massive game this weekend. I'm leaning with the Tigers. Which ones, you ask? You got to tune into the show to find out. I will say this, though. I think Dabo's team has a chance to go to the national championship. Might be his best group since Trevor Lawrence and them won the title for him. And that defensive front can give LSU problems. And another game of major implication, Miami and Notre Dame. I'm not as high on the Irish as Ed is. That's his favorite team. I think the Hurricanes are for real early, and they will fade and fizzle late. It's the type of game Miami will get up for. The old Catholics versus convicts. People love this. I think they will get up for it. I think their defense will fly around and hit them in the mouth. And I could see Notre Dame being a little conservative and vanilla and maybe not hitting their stride. They'll still get in the playoff because they're Notre Dame and they can lose 3-4 games and they get in anyways. Not that I'm hating them, just telling you the reality of the situation. And Notre Dame had a really, really good, great defense last year at all levels, in sync. And I think they'll be a couple notches below that on defense. Very good, but not as great in terms of tackling and playmaking and timely playmaking, getting off the field on third down. So that'll do it. And we thank you all for tuning in, watching on the IG or the X or the Facebook. And we'll pop up the music and do it again with you next week. But again, tune in to 757 Sports Talk. And into Saturday and sports weekend, because next week the NFL is back and we've got football wall to wall for you from Thursdays through Monday nights. There's no break in the football action. See you later, everyone.